Hello and welcome to Impact Africa, our online TV where we get to have conversations with diverse people and organizations who are impacting lives positively. Yes, this is me, Kemi Akeode Adebayo, aka Mama K. And in today's program, I've got a young, dynamic, creative, yes, she's very youthful and I love her aspect, Miss Janine Fortuin. She is the founder director of the Delft Arts Outreach, which is based in Delft in Cape Town, South Africa.
Yes.
So Miss Janine, how are you today?
I'm doing very, very
well. Yes,
well.
like I told you, I love that. People like me that don't have anything and go involved, we're sometimes jealous, although I've embraced it. Yeah. But how long does it take you to even maintain
Well, when
that?
they announced lockdown in March of 2020, I decided that's the moment I'm going to lock my hair. So my hair's been locked since March 2020.
Wow, so it's not for long?
Not long at all. 2 years, just a little over 2 years.
Okay, 2 years. And how long does it take you to look after it?
I wash it, and that's about it.
Right, let's go back to Janine, Miss Janine now. Tell us, where were you born? How was life growing up? Family life? Anything you want to share with us?
Well, I was born, we lived in Mitchell's Plain. I was actually born in the car on the way to the hospital.
That story for another day.
Yes.
In the car, on the way to the hospital.
Yes, my mother did it solo.
Why did she wait so long, or you came early?
Maybe I just came before. She was planning, yeah.
She was not prepared.
Yes, no, she was not. Saturday morning, maybe she was ready to just chill that day, but unfortunately for her.
So who helped her in the car?
She was alone. She gave birth, she was alone. Yeah, the men were focusing on the road, just getting there. Yeah.
Yo, that's serious. Okay, all right, keep going.
So that says something about my personality, I think. But yes, we lived in Mitchell's Plain when I was about 4 years old. We moved to Delft, which had just started developing at that time, in 1995, 94.
So you've been in Delft for how long
Since
now?
then, 29 years.
28 years.
Yes,
wow,
yes.
That's a long time. And I know you're still young yourself.
Yes, I'm just turned 33, so it depends if you see that as
young still very young. Still very young. So born in the car on the way to the hospital.
Yes.
And then you used to live in Mitchell's Plain. So what position are you in the family?
I am the third child of four. Yes. And the eldest daughter. Yes.
Okay.
Eldest daughter, third of four.
Okay. Yes. And how was life growing up for you?
Well, life was very challenging in many ways, but when I look back and now, I feel like it was part of the molding process for who I am today and what I'm able to give. And I think a lot of my childhood experiences helps me a lot in the youth work that I am doing to understand and not just sympathize, but empathize with the some of the children that I work with, and to share with them from a place of experience, because then they will see that this is authentic. Whatever I'm able to give them is more authentic if I can share that experience with them. So it wasn't an easy childhood, many challenges, absent father. Okay. But here I am today, and I would like to use that to help shape the experiences of young people in a positive way. Yeah.
What was your first job?
My first job? I think I was working I only worked 3 days at the clothing store, only 3 days.
Did they sack you or you left?
I left. I couldn't handle it anymore. I couldn't handle that.
What was it? It was not just
It's just not for me.
Okay.
Standing at the door, just smiling at people and not talking to them is difficult for me. So I went on to study, of course. I had the privilege of a tertiary education.
Okay.
And then
what did you study?
I studied languages and communications.
Okay. And where was this?
And then at UWC.
Okay.
And then I went on to a career in journalism. Yeah. Yes.
So we could swap now.
Yes. We could actually.
So did you see yourself studying, what you wanted to study, or doing what you're currently doing, with your NGO and other work that you do? Did you see that happening, or did you decide that, or you just fell into it?
I can tell you truthfully, I never saw myself doing what I'm doing right now. With my career path, it was just being a reporter, doing that work and going with that and seeing how far that takes me. But then there was a stage in my life about 6-7 years ago that I had a very radical life-changing experience. And my focus shifted from career to community all of a sudden.
Wow. What made
it was a near-death experience, I'm going to put it that way.
Okay.
And it changed my perception of life, and it changed my vision completely.
Right.
And I started looking at the world in a very different way from that point forward. And also at my community very differently, because I felt like my eyes had been opened up to the need that was around me. Because before that, it was more all about me and myself and my goals. But suddenly, it's like the camera, the lens was shifted, and I could see beyond myself, and I could see the need around me. And I got involved with this training program called YALI, the Young African Leaders Initiative.
Oh, I know that. Wait, are you a fellow from
yes,
that?
I'm actually an alumnus.
Okay.
I did a course with them.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Yes, in civic leadership. And then I could see more in depth after that training. I could see more in depth where the gaps were in my community and what the possible solutions could be. And yes, I had a focus on youth. I had a love for the children around me suddenly. And I discovered, when I was doing statistical work during the training, I discovered that this is a very big population. Delft is a huge area. And I couldn't believe that I never actually looked at the place. I've been living here for 28 years, but it's like I haven't been living here. I've been in my own bubble. It was weird. But when my eyes started to open up, I saw that there's all these people, hundreds of thousands of people, and so little of them have this opportunity for education. Less than 3% of the population actually, which was staggering to me. It was alarming and actually very heartbreaking. But then I noticed, why get sad about it? If you were part of that less than 3%, there's purpose in that.
And what are you going to do about it?
Yes, and I started to delve even deeper, into it. And I found that the youth is where it needs to be. That's where the solution lies to the problem. I can't go all the way up to the high schools. I'm actually working at the high school right now, but before I got here, I had to go to the ECD level. And I worked in ECD centers and moved in ECD centers for a couple of years, learning and growing and seeing how the need is formed, where the actual crucial problems are, and how it is formed in our kids. And from there, I developed a program that's now called Delft Arts Outreach.
Awesome. Before we go on to that, for you, what are 3 things? I know there's probably more that you value, in life. Although I think from what you shared earlier on there, I can already sense, 1 or 2 already. For you, what are the 3 things, that makes a lot of sense for you, that you value, that are your values?
That I value? Well, now, I see love. I think love is a big thing for me. In love, there are so many things contained in that I can not only pull 3 out, but I probably pull thousands out of there. But whatever grows from love, I think, would be kindness, unity, compassion, and all those things I hold dear now. And I try to cultivate it in my own art first, and to then see that cultivated in the children that I work with, because that really is the answer for me. Yeah.
Interesting. So, tell us about Delft Arts Outreach. What are you doing exactly? And what are the ages of the young people you work with? What activities do you do? Yeah, if you just share with us that. So, and when did you start it?
Okay, it started in 2018 as an art program.
Okay.
Because I discovered that people were asking me questions. Why are the children going to school? Why are the children rude? Why are the children? And then I discovered, what the real issue is here? The children don't value themselves. They don't have a sense of value. And if you don't have a sense of value, anything goes.
Yeah.
You don't go to school because you don't value yourself. You don't have respect for other people because you don't value yourself. So everything comes from that place of not valuing yourself, not feeling loved and understood and valued as a human. And I asked myself, how does a person get there?
Yeah.
And I discovered that it's self-knowledge, it's the knowledge of self. And how do you get there? So that is how we started as an art program, giving them that space to explore, to grow through art, and even to heal through art. Obviously received training in that as well before I took it out into the streets.
Okay.
And then we started it as an art program, a holiday art program back in 2018. And it grew from that holiday art program into what's now Delft Arts Outreach. I worked in areas such as Blikkie Store, bringing art therapy there, bringing art therapy within my community, even up in people's garages if I had to. Now I'm running an art therapy class at the school, a little more formalized, because we have a structure now around us. That's not temporary. And we also do community gardens, food gardening. We also help people grow their own home gardens as well. Because the children, let me tell you something, the children actually started the first community garden.
Wow.
With their own hands.
Wow.
And I have pictures of
And how was that for them? Because a lot of children sometimes can't make that connection between the food they're eating and where it comes from.
Yes, yes, exactly. I was one of those people. I was one of those people until very recently. But it's like an awakening. So what happened is in the art program, they would draw little pictures of flowers. And one day we were just drawing like this. I don't know how it really started, but they were painting a garden the Monday. On the Wednesday, they were in the park with shovels and pickets, and they were creating that garden. So they are now able to take from the art project, take things from the pages and then create it. They can see that thing implemented. And for me, standing back and saying, wow, they're actually innovating. Because they've come to a place, I've been working with them for a couple of years with some of them, and they've been using this art as that tool that I hoped that they would. And now they can see it happening in real life. They take it from the page into real life. They're implementing. And that is how I just grow in faith with this thing, seeing that this is the solution for these kids. And they can do it if they get that
support and
they get the necessary support and direction. So some people might look like, oh, that's just a cute little community garden, but it's a major victory for these kids.
Yeah, I agree. You know what? We'll be right back. Wow, Miss Janine. Born on the way to the hospital in a car. You know, we have a name for people like you in my country. You're on the move. I like the on the move. From Michel's Plain originally, moved into Delft at the age of 4 roughly, and you've lived there up till now. Studied languages and communication, a YALI alumnus. Maybe you need to even explain what YALI is to some people because they might not know.
Okay, so YALI.
Because I'm sure people can, what's YALI? What are they talking about? So what's YALI?
So YALI is short for the Young African Leaders Initiative, and it's an initiative started by Barack Obama back when he was still the president of the United States. And he saw a gap in Africa with regards to the youth. He felt like he needed to build a group of ethical servant leaders in Africa, because he felt like Africa had all these resources, but he felt like we needed a little bit of work when it came to leadership, and he acknowledged that he needed to start at the youth level. And so he started that program. I'm so thankful to him for doing that. So one of the streams that you can study specifically into is called civic leadership. You get to study different issues that we are facing as a global community, and then you get to narrow it down to your own community. And they guide and train you in that kind of way. So,
but normally you're selected for it.
Yes, you are.
And it's a tough selection. Now I'm just letting people know before they start googling. Okay, YALI. Oh, I'm going to just do that. It's not easy. It's a tough selection process.
Yes.
And you have to want to do what you say you're going to do as well, and you get the training. Before the break, I know you shared with us as well, in terms of Delft Arts Outreach, when and how you started it and so on. But something that stood out for me, was when you were sharing your values about love, kindness, unity, and you had a life-changing experience. Can you share just in summary what that was about?
I'm going to try because it's quite a long story. But like I told you, I was very much focused on my career back in 2015. And then I had to leave the job I was working with very abruptly. I was working in women's rights at that time. And I had to leave that job very abruptly. And I was thinking about what my next step was going to be. I was a breadwinner at the time. So I was really thinking about what my next step was going to be. I had the support of my mother, in this new direction that I was going to go into, which I didn't know what it was yet. And I just had this experience. I was in Claremont. I also do photography. So I was going to do some photography with another colleague, and I was on my way to her house. And it was my first time visiting her house, and I got lost. And I met this young man on the way, looked like a car guard. He had this green overcoat, and he said he would direct me. And usually you have all your alerts on as a woman, walking with a strange man. But that day, it was strangely enough, I didn't have any of those alerts going up. Long story short, this man was actually a gang member. It was a 26 gang member, and his plan was not to take me to meet this lady at all. And I found that out in a very horrible way. But he ended up apologizing, crying, and apologizing to me. And then he started talking about God in a way that I'd never heard before. And that really shook me. He led me out of that dark and dangerous situation where he was leading me into in the first place. And it was weird because he was repentant. He was actually crying for the deed that he was about to do. And I thought, how is this possible? And he started telling me about God. And I said, I need to know this God who has the power to change somebody's mind like that. And when he had all the opportunity to do whatever he wanted to do. And I went home and I told my sister about my experience. And I had a long conversation with the guy before we parted. Came home and my sister explained to me that I'd actually had an encounter with God. And I never left that encounter the same. So from that day, I
totally changed.
I was a changed person.
And now, obviously, you're a woman of faith.
Yes, I am.
Which is why you probably do what you're doing, sowing into the young people's life and just being there, for them. And I believe a lot of people don't know God or know Jesus. So hopefully, what you've shared there very briefly, which I know there's more,
so much
into
more
it.
To that story.
So I just wanted us to just hear a little bit of it. So for you, since running Delft Arts Outreach, what are some of the challenges you've had to encounter, and how have you, handled them? Maybe just share one.
Oh, many challenges.
I'm sure.
Face. Firstly, I thought that you needed a lot of money to make an impact. And I found out that no, in actual fact, you don't need a lot of money to make an impact in the lives of people. You just need a willingness to share, and you need a love for sharing that, whatever you have to share. In the beginning, a lot of people didn't quite understand what I was trying to do because the concept of art and art therapy is very new to a community like mine specifically. I'm not going to talk about other communities, but specifically in my community, that has never been done before. When I started the program, I obviously did my research before then, and I found out that this thing doesn't exist. And if there is something like this, then it's people from outside coming and bringing some art materials every once in a while, but there's nothing like it in Delft at the moment. So it was, especially in my community, not understood. And it took years, and I think we're still working together as a community, but it took years for people to trust, and also for myself to trust, and to develop the program. Even now, it's a relationship building. If you want to help people in the way that I'm trying to, it's about relationship building. It's not coming into the community and then, okay, see you next Tuesday. It doesn't work like that, unfortunately. It's really it's a relationship building thing. The children I work with, I know them all personally. They live around me. They know me. They see my life. So yes, building a relationship was a challenge, but also a blessing now that we have established that. And we're building together. We keep building together.
So what are you mostly proud of in terms of your work that you've done so far?
When I see the children growing, when I see them actually growing from where they were, when I see them I see that they are starting to get consistency in their actions and in the way they speak, their deeds, things like that. That makes me very proud, and that is a great sense of reward that I really can't put into words, really.
I'm sure. I know you shared there that, and I'm on the same page with you, that a lot of people think here you need a lot of money, but what you need is the love and the willingness.
Yes.
But at the same time, I'm sure with your NGO, there are needs.
Yes.
What are some of the needs, practical needs that maybe other people might be able to support you with?
Well, at the moment, we have all these gardens. Currently, we have 3 gardens that we are maintaining. The children mostly are maintaining, but we want to expand. We want to start more gardens. A few weeks ago, I started one in Elsie's River, and it's a big challenge for me to get there, to help them maintain, to train them, because I actually don't have a mode of transport at the moment. So I would say that is the biggest challenge I have at the moment, is reaching people.
So you want to go out with Delft as well.
Yes.
Or you want to
But
focus
right now
on
Delft is a huge area.
I was just going to say,
so
and there are a lot of land that could be used into
so
community
much.
gardens.
And when I drive past him in the taxi or I walk past him, I get so frustrated because I want to help. But the only constriction now I have is big constriction actually is the transportation. Because the tools are heavy to get there.
So to even move them,
yes,
to there.
It's quite uncomfortable, and it drains your finances if you have to ask somebody like to take me there. I want to. So that is the main thing that we're actually working on now, is getting just a small bakkie, so we can be able to do the work, get more community gardens. And I think the need is increasing now with petrol prices and all this. People need to know how to grow their own food. And I would love to go and train people how to do that and to develop land, but I think the transportation for me is the biggest.
So you can help with training and the growing the food and helping with the children, but using, like you said, the seedling. All
of that.
Okay. There's a lot we've said there, and a lot I still want to ask. But this one for me is important. I know you're still very young. Still very young. What are some of the life lessons, that you feel you've learned that could help a younger Janine, to say, okay, if I had known this at 15 or 12, maybe this could have helped me with some things, or maybe not. So just if you could share some life lessons, with us, that would be beneficial to young people.
No, I think back when I was in grade 11, I was 16 years old. I had a teacher, English teacher, I respected her a lot. And she said to me, Janine, I think this program will work very good for you. I think you must get involved. And I didn't have any self-confidence in myself. But out of respect for this English teacher of mine, I actually went to the tryouts. It was for a debating team. And I don't know what happened, but I got into the debating team that day. And I ended up becoming part of a group of 4 young girls. We formed a debating team, Model United Nations, actually back then. And we debated at the Parliament.
Yes. I know MUN. My sons used to be on the MUN and not used to. Okay.
Yes, that was my springboard. And we won the regional competition by grace. We won the national competition. And we found ourselves at 16 years old in New York City debating. And at that time was the very first time that my lens, like my view changed of the world, because I was just in Delft and then things started to become much broader for me all of a sudden. And when that happened to me, it felt like the world was under my feet, like there was nothing I couldn't do. So that self-confidence was something for me that really kept me back, I think. But from a young age, I'm so thankful that at 16, I was taught that, no, you know what, I think, but even after that experience, I think my self-confidence was still not at the level where it should have been. And also didn't really care much about my community, like I told you. So if I must look back now, I would have wished that I would have learned how rewarding it could be to care about others, to extend yourself to other people and to share yourself with other people. I think I would have started sooner. With community work, really. That's the only thing I regret, is not starting sooner, to be very honest with you.
Right. You know what? We need to stop for a break where we'll share some of your work and other stuff that you've been involved in. We'll be right back. So, Miss Janine, before we went on the break, you were sharing life lessons and, as well, some of the challenges and what your needs are, with the Delft Arts Outreach program. One of the things, you mentioned, for me was about self-confidence. And I know I see a lot of that, lacking in our young people, especially in areas like Delft, Karlsruhe, Lange, and so on. And I know you're using arts therapy and arts, the gardening, and so on to address and work on young people. What other social issues, for you, are you particularly passionate about, even if you're not involved in it? And apart from the issues, I like focusing on solutions.
Me too.
So what do you think, whether the solutions are feasible or not, what do you think are the solutions for them? Whether be it in Delft, whether be it in Karlsruhe, whether be it other parts of Africa?
Yes, so Mama Kay, I do see a lot of issues. If I asked anybody for a long list of issues, they'd be able to do that. But solutions that people tend to, I'm a more solution-based, focused person as well. What I do see is, like I said to you earlier, the children don't have a sense of value, and that for me is where everything is sprouting from. And so the art program, like I said, is all obviously doing the internal work, which takes time. Now, not everybody wants to take time when it comes to youth development. I think we've moved into a situation where we come quick fixes. We want to do quick youth programs and get it out of the way and then hope for the best. I think that is not the way to go. I think the way to go would be to do intensive work on these kids, and that might take time, and that is internal with them, walking a path with them, building a relationship with them. I think that is key. If you want to hear any issues that I'm particularly concerned about, that would obviously be our young men.
Okay.
Our young men are very close to my heart, and I do the youth intervention programs. I would really like to see more young men involved in the programs, like our drill, our cadet program that we are currently running, which teaches consistency, discipline, and focus. I would like to see more young men getting involved there, because they really are key to our society. And I said to the girls the other day, I actually got very overly passionate about it. And I said to the girls, it's time that we actually are more encouraging to the young men. We started to encourage them more than breaking them down. Because I said, if a young lady wants a strong role model, she doesn't really have to look that far. Because all around us we have strong female figures who are running the households in our communities. And the young girls don't really have to look far for a good, solid role model. But when it comes to our young men,
they're fine.
Yes, exactly. And how can we then blame them for, if they don't have any direction or somebody leading them, how can we blame them for going off the rails, going into things like gangsterism and things like that? So for me, it would be drawing in more of the young men, and for the men who are good leaders and become more visible. And I think, all of us should be in the business of uplifting these young men, of uplifting our youth in whichever way we can.
So do you think, just based on what you've said there, I've got two young men. And I know lately I've started saying, yes, like you said, that we're forgetting, our boy child, and we've always focused on girl child, the women and so on. So do you think part of the problem as well is we've more or less, the society have focused more on the girls and the women rather than the men, and I know you're saying, we need to bring them in. How do we do that, especially in Africa, where our men are not supposed to show emotions? I mean, they're not supposed to cry, they're not supposed to, some of those things. How do we really practically do that? And you're right, there's a lot of male figures, absent male figures, and role models, that a men are not seen enough of. So how do we do more? Basically what you're saying.
I think we start on a personal level. Okay. Like I said to the girls, if you don't have anything positive to say to that boy, don't say anything at all.
Right.
And then you wait until he does one thing that's positive, that you can see there's some positive trait in him, and you make sure that he knows. Then you open your mouth.
Okay.
And you speak to him about that. So he would want to reaffirm that positive behavior again You see, sometimes it seems to me like the only time we really pay attention to them is when they're acting out.
Exactly.
And so I think one of the most practical ways we can do it would be on a personal level, to draw out the positive in that child, in that boy child. And to rather not say anything, like I said to the girls, if you have only criticism, that would be one personal way that each and every one of us can get involved. And then also, like I said before, for men who are on the right path, who are positive, to step out, to make themselves visible. We need that visibility, because we see all the role models luring the children in the opposite direction. That's when they end up following the big gang bosses, because they are visible and they are loud in what they are doing. But these men, not to be so timid, the ones who are on the right path, who are good family men, not to be so timid, to step out and show, okay, I'm here, be visible. Be visible. I think those are two practical ways that I could advise on your question.
Thank you. No, that's very useful. And thank you for all you do in the community. I know we've kind of come to the end of the program.
We have?
Yes, we have. I know it went very, very quickly, but we're still going to come back, because I will still want to share and see, you know, some of what you do in terms of the community garden, the therapy that you use, and other stuff that you do. We'll still want to meet some of these young people that you work with.
You're more than welcome.
Even ask them, you know, what do they think, as opposed to us speaking about them and as if they don't exist.
That is, can I just mention one more thing, Mama Kay? I've been sitting in all these meetings where people are talking about the youth, and I'm looking around me. Where are they? You know? So I think we should really stop having conversations about them without them.
I agree completely.
That is one of the main issues that I would really like us to address.
I agree.
I think it's actually unacceptable.
Yeah. And I think we're all
stop
doing it, you know, without even realizing it. And I think maybe because of the African tradition again, where children are to be seen but not heard, in a way. Because when you have adults in that
bringing
room,
us?
I know,
By
exactly.
excluding them. Where is that bringing us?
So we need to change our mindset and say, you know, no, we need to include, you know, and it boils down to as well your upbringing. I was brought up that way. When my father or my mom, you know, came in, or an adult came in, you get out of the room. You are not allowed to be there. But meanwhile, my husband, he was brought up whereby his mother would say, no, sit. I need you to hear and listen, but I don't want you to say anything. Just sit. So in most conversations, you know, with his mother and family members, he knew, because I knew that. So I'll be asking him, how do you know all this? And he's like, well, I used to sit. And I see the difference. And I think that needs to happen, you know, more. Like you said, it shouldn't be about us talking about them, but bringing them into the conversation.
Because they have something to add.
Definitely.
And I think we should be looking at children not as half persons, half human beings. They are full human beings.
Yeah.
They are humans. They are persons in their own right. And we need to start seeing them as such. And I think we will have a lot less issues where we're like, oh, the children of today have no respect. I think we will have a lot less of those kinds of issues when we teach them and when we bring them into the conversation instead of shutting them out and leaving them to their own devices.
Wow, deep. Thank you, Miss Janine. It has been an honor. I celebrate you. I really commend you, you know, for what you're doing from a very early age and the lives you're impacted, you know, and you're using yourself, you know, to touch lives, you know, in various forms that you, even yourself, you don't even know the benefit yet.
No.
I'm sure it's 10 years, you know, after when some of those children will come back, like the way you gave the example of your English teacher. It was your English teacher.
And there was another teacher after that who had a big impact in my life. I'm so thankful.
There you go. So those are the people who have touched your lives, and I know those young people that you are impacting their lives and helping them to build, you know, their self-confidence and for them to feel valuable and citizen of the. Well done. I celebrate you and kudos to you for all you do.
Thank you so much.
You're most welcome. We'll definitely be back, you know, to hear more in terms of even your journey as a journalist. We didn't have time to share that. I don't know whether you wanted to, but I have a lot of questions, so
Yes.
we will be back. You know,
Oh,
to
you're
ask
most
more.
welcome.
Okay, thank you. So what I want to do though, you can't get away, I know, right? You guys all that. No. Well, I need you to help me speak to our young people. So in closing, or whoever you want to speak to, whether the boy child or anyone you want to speak to, I need you to just give some form of words of encouragement or anything you want to share. So I need you to do that.
So I would like to say to each and every young person out there, specifically from Delft, people might say that we are living in the darkest of times, but I feel like we are living in the most exciting times, in the times that is a time that is ripe for innovation, for collaboration, and for unity. And I want to encourage all of you that there's nothing that you cannot do when you are doing it together. I think there's power in unity, and I need each and every young person to tap into that, and you will see the results. Delft will be transformed if we work together and we join hands in doing that. The young and the old together, not to replace one another, but to reinforce one another. So that is my hope for our youth.
Wow. You are an awesome public speaker.
Okay.
I was
we
going
done?
to. No, we're still here. We're still here. We're not done yet. I just want to recap on that, and I just felt that was really, really deep. Thank you. The power in unity.
Yes.
Thank you. That's
the way forward, Mama.
That's the way forward. Thank you. Thank you so much,
Thank
Miss
you very
Janine.
much.
Well, you've heard it from Miss Janine there, what she said, the power in unity. I know she spoke to the people of Delft specifically, but it applies to all our young people, wherever you are, you know, saying, yes, we are in dark times. However, it is, like she said, exciting times. There's so much that can still be done. So I wish you all the best, and I hope you've been inspired, empowered through those young, you know, words from an awesome fab lady. Until next time, yes, we're signing off on Impact Africa, and this is Mama K saying, stay safe, stay blessed, and look after yourself, and yeah, power in unity. God bless.